So about your team is incredible. The dancers that we had here, we had Sylvestre, Akakpo, and Mamoudou Konate, who is the master drummer. And I was curious, one of the things that I think is so compelling about this work is the relationship between the three of you. And I know that you met in 2007 in Ouagadougou when you did a performance there it was for a film festival. So I'm wondering if you can tell us a bit about your relationship and how it's developed over the years and how you work together for this piece.
I was the choreographer who has to create the opening ceremony for the film, the first film, one of the first and the bigger film festival in Africa, named called FESPACO. As a film, and then I have to work like with 600 of dancers to make the piece. And then I auditioned Sylvestre. It's why I got to know Sylvestre from Burkina Faso. And then Mamoudou, it's the same event because he used to work with me in the same event for the opening 2 years later. And then for the second opening again, I got the opportunity to do the work, and then I brought Mamoudou in this piece. He was one of the master leading for the music section, and how we get to know each other when Sylvestre moved in Brooklyn and Mamoudou in Long Island, and I came in United States, and then we got to connect again and start working together again because we know each other.
And so to focus on Mamoudou and the music, the drums for this piece, can you tell us about, I think so often with African dance, we're used to having a very constant rhythm and a very constant driving rhythm, but you use it differently here. You use it to set a different kind of mood, and he really becomes a character in this work. And can you talk a bit about how you worked with him and why you made those choices?
In the contemporary dance, for me, being African, coming from my background, like African traditional dance, usually we use the musician and the side or front or somewhere. And for me, I'm trying to create the link between my hometown, our land, Africa, and what we're doing around the world, being the influence we have around the world, not losing this tradition, but keeping to make it more valuable. And then to using him different and not to playing like constantly like to converse, to create language between the dancers and the musician. Is how is my thinking.
I'm curious, in the process of creating Yimbégré, what you learned in this work about yourself and about identity.
I went to Burkina Faso first to do my research around Burkina Faso, and the first piece, the process, working process, progress, it was in Burkina Faso. And then we have a festival there named called Dialogue de Corps. It's a contemporary dance festival. And we have a Q&A the next day when you perform. The next day, people coming and you have to talk about your work. My work, it was more than 80% people, 80 people wasn't like my work because I'm talking about something they don't want to talk. And I say, it doesn't make sense. If you say you are contemporary, and we say we're talking about globalization and we're talking about this planet. We have a television, we have a cell phone, we have computers, and everything happening in this room in second, somewhere in the world, in China, people knows what's happening here. And why we want to not talk about it? We should talk about it, and then we stop talking about it forever. And one of the guys is a choreographer from France. Well, is a white guy. He told me, Solo, ta pièce, elle est l'une des meilleures pièces que j'ai pas vues. Okay. And the meaning is, your piece is one of the best pieces I haven't seen in this festival. And I say, wow, you are courageous saying this at front to those black and white people. Because it wasn't, some people, they are in Africa, they are afraid to say no. They are afraid to say yes. They say, because other Africans said no, they don't like, they say, oh yeah, well, I don't like. But this French guy, he told me the piece is beautiful. But it wasn't exactly the version. It was work in progress.
And I'm curious what that experience is like for you to present your work in front of such different audiences here in the United States and back in Africa, and what's it like to see those different reactions? And is that something that is frustrating, or is that something that's actually very exciting for you as an artist to see that range?
For this piece, I think United States, this is not new. I'm making this piece is something about myself, about African, about my continent. Talking about my continent, South Africa is advanced compared to West Africa, Central Africa, North Africa, and East Africa. But they can talk about it. But for me, being African choreographer and being black guy coming from outside, for me is a new to talk about this subject. Mm-hmm. But for you guys, it's not new. It's something, but I want to keep talking and inviting more people from my community, like not African American, but African coming from Africa straight, to see what we should talk about. We're doing something awful, but we keep doing, nobody talking about. But this is not, it's not bad, it's life for people. Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us more? I think my assumption is that for most of us, we're not very familiar with the contemporary dancing in Africa. Can you tell us more about, as you mentioned, the difference between, say, West Africa and South Africa? And then also, what about Burkina Faso, and particularly Ouagadougou, that makes it such a cultural center and such a vibrant place for contemporary dance?
I think we got a chance to have a president, is Thomas Sankara. It was one of the younger presidents when he was president. He said, Burkina Faso, we have only one value. It's our culture. We don't have a well, we don't have an ocean, we don't have a diamond, but we have our culture. With our culture, we can be seen like a diamond and to be more stronger than other. And how Burkina Faso get to be strong in dance and culture in general. Mm-hmm. And we work hard. It's why Burkina Faso in West Africa, I can say Burkina Faso, contemporary dance, we are the first. South Africa are the same different story about the dance. We don't have like a archive like here. When we're talking about the dance, when we're talking about stuff, when you go online, you can see everything. But when you want to have real information, if you go in Burkina Faso, you will see. But we don't have it online. The other day, we was talking, Brian and I, about this, and I say, yeah, I'm really sorry for that. We don't have enough information. What we have online is a tourist who put it is not. And I have to work and make it happen. I don't know how, but I need some people to help me and to make it happen. Because it's not only for Burkinabe, it's not only for African, it's for everybody. If you want to do research, you need somebody to help you, you need some information. How to get those information? Mm-hmm. You don't have it.
So the question is about gender and kind of the way that you and Sylvestre kind of have different mannerisms. And also you kind of mentioned earlier when you brought it to Africa about sexuality and about the discomfort about discussing that. Yeah. And so can you talk about gender and sexuality in this piece?
Yeah, in general is what you're seeing as a gender and sexuality. Because I was saying we are afraid to talk about what we are in general. I know and I have dancers who was coming and telling me, oh, I have this problem, I am this, I am that, how I can do. And I've been living with them, many of them not living anymore in Burkina Faso, they have to go to Europe and they're living there. And I was like someone who listening always what the concern was how I can help them. But I wasn't have the power to help them like in public. But in private, I'm helping them to stay who they are. And I'm trying on this piece is like thinking how I can make it happen.